An Asian ally's components have reportedly been found in as many as 90% of the Russian missiles and drones recovered by Ukrainian forces, a revelation that has provoked alarm about supply chain vulnerabilities and the ease with which dual-use parts can be diverted into Moscow's war machine. President Zelensky said he was shocked after discovering that a close Trump ally may have been implicated in helping supply parts used by Putin's forces, a disclosure that, if substantiated, would raise serious questions about clandestine networks, accountability, and the political dimensions of wartime procurement. As the Ukraine war grinds on despite President Trump's public peace overtures, reports suggest an Asian partner has been playing a covert saboteur role by enabling the flow of critical components to Russia, a development that could undermine Allied cohesion and complicate efforts to cut off material support to Moscow. A Ukrainian official said parts of Japanese-made components were found inside Russian missiles, a disclosure that has raised alarms about how commercial electronics and dual-use items can be diverted into weapon systems and the vulnerability of global supply chains to exploitation. Denys Brashuk presented papers to Kyodo News alleging that Japanese parts were identified in Kh-101 missiles and other Russian systems, a public step intended to prompt scrutiny of procurement trails and to pressure partners to tighten export controls and tracing mechanisms. Brashuk named 13 Japanese companies in his allegations, though reporters found that some firms could not confirm the origins of the parts in question, underscoring the difficulty of rapidly verifying complex supply chain claims under wartime conditions. Details of the revelation were reported by Defense Blog, which cited Kyodo News on June 29, relaying the sequence of disclosures and the contested nature of the evidence while noting the broader strategic implications for Allied export controls. Ukraine's claims focused on dual-use chips, inertial measurement units, controllers, capacitors, and resistors, components that by themselves are commercially common but which can play a pivotal role when integrated into guidance and control systems for missiles and drones. The Kh-101 is Russia's primary air-launched cruise missile and has been used hundreds of times since 2022, making any evidence of foreign components in its systems particularly sensitive given the missile's strategic and tactical prominence. Ukraine says it has shot down roughly 88% of Kh-101, Kh-55, and Kh-555 missiles so far in 2026, figures intended to demonstrate defensive effectiveness even as investigations continue into the provenance of recovered parts. In response to interception challenges, Russian forces have added electronic countermeasure suites and decoys to make Kh-101 interceptions harder, a development that further complicates forensic analysis of downed hardware and the tracing of components. Previous studies have found hundreds of foreign parts in Russian weapons, including many from the United States, illustrating a long-standing problem in which commercial items enter military supply chains through opaque rerouting and intermediary actors. Brashuk asserted that most Japanese components identified are commercial off-the-shelf parts that were rerouted via third countries, a common method that frustrates direct export control enforcement once items move beyond their original destination. Because export controls typically apply to the first declared destination, items can be legally exported and later diverted, a loophole that experts say makes policing end use particularly challenging without strengthened multilateral verification and secondary measures. Tokyo has tightened export controls since 2022, but Kyodo's reporting suggests that flows of sensitive components into Russia may continue through complex intermediary channels, prompting calls for further policy action and industry vigilance. Addressing diversion routes may require enhanced verification protocols, the imposition of secondary sanctions on facilitators, and improved trade oversight to trace components more effectively and deter illicit rerouting. The Japanese firms named in the reporting have not accepted responsibility for parts being diverted into Russian systems, and some have emphasized adherence to export rules while promising cooperation with any official inquiries. The allegation places political pressure on Japan, a major G7 backer of Ukraine, to demonstrate it is doing everything possible to prevent its industrial base from inadvertently supporting Moscow's war effort. The outcome of investigations could strain Japan's industry, disrupt global supply chains for critical electronics, and push Tokyo toward more intrusive export controls or coordinated international measures to close avenues of diversion. Moscow said Bogodarovka was captured after Russian forces pushed Ukrainian troops back. Russian Ministry of Defense said, and I quote, assault detachments of the 36th Guards Motorized Rifle Brigade, 29th Combined Arms Army, Vostok Group of Forces, liberated the settlement of Bogodarovka by pushing Ukrainian formations off the lines on the right bank of the Gaicha River. In the course of the liberation of the settlement, the enemy lost more than a platoon of manpower, 3 armored fighting vehicles, 7 motor vehicles, over 60 Baba Yaga-type hexacopters. The liberation of Bogodarovka made it possible for the group's units to gain a foothold on the right bank of the Gaicha River and disrupt defense of the armed forces of Ukraine in this area. The occupied line creates conditions for further action in the area of Alexandrovka and the advancement of the Vostok Group's troops in Dnipropetrovsk region. Unquote. Russia also released footage it said showed an attack on Ukrainian UAV command posts. A huge shockwave was reported after Russia said it dropped 5 aerial bombs in Donetsk. Russian German drones were also said to have destroyed an enemy electronic warfare command post. The reported high-precision drone strike was said to have taken place in Nikopol in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Russia's defense ministry also claimed strikes using 5 OFAB 250-270 aerial bombs in Kharkiv. Russia claimed German attack drones struck a Ukrainian Special Forces training camp in the Mykolaiv region during a precision strike operation. Russia's defense ministry said German UAVs targeted a special operations boot camp near Pribuzky used by Ukrainian forces. Russian defense ministry visuals purportedly showed a German drone slamming into the target before triggering a massive explosion. The released footage appeared to show thick black smoke and debris billowing into the air as the strike devastated the compound. Moscow said the German drones engaged the designated target in a self-tracking mode during the reported attack. Russia also claimed the operation struck troop concentration areas being used by Ukrainian Special Forces units. The Defense Ministry said the reported strike destroyed depots storing special-purpose watercraft and high-speed motorboats. Russian officials further claimed Ukrainian uncrewed surface vessels were among the military assets targeted during the operation.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.